Go, man. Reid, you there, buddy?
Reid, where'd you go?
How you doing, bud? You okay?
There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Reid, 0-4.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
You're the
Reid,
commissioner.
pop some
Wouldn't
Skittles,
you be
you'll be
finding
okay.
yourself? How's it
Reid's
going?
team has lost its identity.
Are you this upset about what Meyer did in Ohio? I mean, what's going on, bud?
Well, I must say that I got to give kudos to Daryl White. This was given to me courtesy of him. And so I'm wearing it appropriately as the 0-4 Barnstormers. And I figured I needed to own it. And so here I am, ready for Tuna Buzz and in my shame of only one of two teams now that has not gotten a victory. So, and to make matters worse, oh, where did everybody go? Is everybody there?
We're
We're
here.
still here, Reid.
Oh,
Just-
okay.
just
Sorry, I
focus.
thought for a
We're just
second there.
listening. We're listening.
Just giving you
For a
focus,
second.
buddy. Giving you the
okay.
floor.
This is my time. Okay, my time to shine. Well, yes, I'm 0-4, and my team. I don't know what to say. I've been getting blasted, pasted, destroyed, just gone, oblivion, and I don't really have a whole lot to say other than fantasy football life right here, and I don't really have a lot of words other than I just showed up because I've got to show up so I don't get in trouble and get fined, and I want to keep my job here, because I might lose it as a fantasy coach and general manager. So there's a lot of pressure on me right now. So I'm just yeah. I'm glad you guys are here for me. So you know
Reid,
what?
real quick, could you kind of do you think you could narrow it down? What do you think your issue is on your team?
Well, I mean, I guess it doesn't help when you had the last 2 weeks you've gotten a goose egg because you had two players get hurt early in their games, and that's kind of hurt. And now I'm up to, I think 5 guys are hurt now on my team, so that's kind of as I'm talking about, it's kind of like last year too. I had a lot of guys get hurt, and except the difference is I got to tell you. Last year, my team was, obviously I had some big injuries, but my team was an epic disaster, and it was bad. I was sitting at 1-3, and man, my season was looking pretty bleak. This year, I'm 0-4, but I'm very torn. Like, I feel like somebody has a knife in my heart, and it's just twisting it because, in one sense, I'm just like, I look at my team, and it's just like, man, I really like my team. They're putting up a good amount of points. Like, a lot of players I love, they're doing good, but I'm getting blasted by other teams, and they're just teeing off on me. I mean, they're looking at me like, let's go. Let's just pulverize them. And I got a target on my back right now. And you know what? I'm not giving up, okay? In the words of, I don't remember the movie, whatever he says, but you know what? Never give up, never surrender.
I believe
All right.
that movie was Galaxy Quest, Reid.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Sorry. Things have been a little cloudy for me lately. It's been hard to really, get my thoughts together. And,
Probably hard to see in that bag too.
Yeah, it is. I'm kind of getting sweaty right now. And,
Well, Reid, I think it's fair. I think for the purpose of this broadcast, if you want to take the bag off for a little bit, you can, but you need to put it back on when the show's over.
oh,
Yes.
okay.
Richard,
All right,
what do you think?
I'm getting a pass.
I think it's a good idea.
All right.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Whew. All
There
right.
he is.
Hey,
See,
there he is.
I got to tell you guys, I
Hey.
already feel like right now, like just, a little bit of the fog is lifted and I can think more
Oh,
clearly
good.
now. Maybe that's just because
Good.
I was breathing my own oxygen there. All right.
Yeah.
Tuna Bites. All right. Welcome. Welcome to week 5 of our season. And we got a jam-packed show. Nathan is with us here again this week. We're going to be talking about last week's action and heartbreak and a lot of disastrous performances, and there were a lot. And we're also going to be talking about a monster trade that happened this week. We're going to get Nathan's thoughts on that and Richard and I's reaction. We're going to talk about free agent bidding and my egregious spending on Damian Williams and everything else with free agent bidding. And then we're going to also talk about a potential vote that we're going to have on keeper, maybe changing up the way we do keepers. So I'm going to explain just what that would look like. So as we get to when we're going to do that vote, you can know a little bit more about it. And we're going to talk about this week's matchups and who we like and all the other news. And maybe we'll get some extra bits from Richard and how he's feeling about his team. And well, we can get it from Nathan, but I think we all know how he's feeling right now. So, but we'll ask him anyways. So, all right, what's up, guys? I'm back. I'm really here now. Okay. I'm
all right.
Focused.
Hey,
I'm good.
It's another week. It's another dollar, but I'm going against PC. So, yeah. Hey, I want to bring up something that you guys said last week. And Daryl picked up on it. I picked it up on it yesterday or last when you guys said it. But Nathan was the good. Reid was the bad. Did that make me the ugly?
Well, I guess we know what Nathan's answer is.
See how it is.
I mean,
let's be honest.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
It's
Those
ugly.
words didn't come out of my mouth, Richard.
I mean, 93 points against Josh. That's ugly.
Oh yeah, that is bad.
I mean, listen, that was a better argument than what I was going to say. I was just going to say you're 1-3, but you went as deep as to say you only scored that much on Josh.
I mean, Richard, if you really want to go deeper with that, since you brought it up, I mean, you lost to a team that has no running back output at all.
It's because I have no wide receiver output at all.
Josh Gordon incoming, though. Be careful. He's signed. He's starting. Travis Kelce was quoted as saying, "I've never seen anyone do anything like I've seen what Josh Gordon is doing." Actual quote. That he really said that in an interview.
Wow.
Wow.
Josh Gordon, the savior of fantasy football wide receivers, even though Josh needs a running back. We'll see.
Hey.
We'll see.
Yeah. Hey, maybe we'll see vintage 2013 Josh Gordon. I mean,
fresh legs.
The fact that it's 2021 and it's vintage 2013 tells you all you need to know.
Hey, listen, it would be like Josh though to just do what he did, and then Josh Gordon all of a sudden is revived because of Patrick Mahomes, and they prop him up, and that would be a Josh thing that would happen.
It would. It would.
Lucky son of a gun.
I mean, he spent quite a bit of money on him, so
yeah.
Luck doesn't really have anything to do with it.
He feels very strongly about Josh Gordon. So
very strongly.
He's
back.
Point.
I'm picking him up.
That's a fair point.
All my other pickups have worked out.
All right, so we want to hit up on this last week and go run through that, and including your matchup, Richard, with Josh.
Yeah, let's do that. I was queuing up the trade, but you know what? We'll do that instead.
You're gonna jump right into it, man.
No, let's not look at the turd at the moment. So let's look at last week. Let's see. Oh, you know what? This is that 93 points, and it just reminded me I needed to do something. Hold on one second, guys. Let me get to my roster here real quick.
Oh, you're gonna show something special, Richard? Is this like a deep dive, like statistics on your team? An in-depth look on Richard's team.
Okay, I'm getting that out of the way. I think we're good.
You showing us a trade, Richard? I'd like to see your trades.
No, that's not a trade.
There's always a green thing in your box. I'm like, there's always a trade cooking with Richard.
Did you just drop by you?
I did.
Oh,
that's how I feel.
Well, I think Captain. Let me just say this, Richard. I think Captain Insano will be pleased with you this week. I'm not saying anything. I don't want to spoil anything from his show, but
what is he gonna pick him up?
No,
Wow.
I think he just criticized you for having him in your starting lineup.
I was being a little. I got to be honest. I was being a little cheeky on it. I was thinking, maybe there's a chance, but no.
Well,
there's not
I
a
mean,
chance.
he had that one bright week. Like, hey.
Whatever. Don't panic.
Yes, Richard, that is definitely one of the most mystifying players that we've had coming into a season.
So crazy.
Listen, would you have picked Ayuk or Beckham? Obviously, 2 points for Beckham more was the right call, right? Or how about Harris? Oh, wait. So it was a bad week for me.
It was just
I could have done Sanders. I could have done Mooney. Could have done Galladay.
Mooney would have been a good play.
Yeah,
I had to do 93.
And Galladay, honestly.
I like how we're talking about your game. We're just talking about Richard's team. Josh, congratulations on your first victory in the season.
Coming out of nowhere. Yeah. Herbert was a great game. Royce Freeman, 1 point. I mean, just, molly-whopping Richard there.
Yeah.
Cole Beasley with 3. I think that was probably 3 catches. Two receptions on 16 yards.
Yeah.
So good for Justin Jefferson. Good for Jacoby Myers. Those were good plays. Herbert.
The Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Over the Giants.
Yeah.
Now you may be asking, why did I pick the Giants over any other team? The answer is there was nothing else available.
Well, Richard.
Yeah, Richard, it was a rough week. I mean, I don't know, Richard, if it's worse that you lost to Josh or that Josh has a win and I don't. I don't know what feels worse. I love you, Josh. No offense, but you just have no running backs at all, and you just literally won, and I just I'm kind of feel shamed right now.
Yeah.
Let's just move on. Let's move on. Come at me, bro himself.
Wow.
Come at me, bro. I mean, with the performance last week, his performance last week was what Donald did this week. I kind of thought, I'm just going to dive in here. I kind of always thought, Donald's team was a little top heavy. And it was just ready to topple at any moment. Melvin Gordon was, doing well for him, and Julio Jones has some games, and George. But now that everybody's coming back down to earth, Mike Williams, with only 2 points after having insane games. I think all of his players are finally, and there's a lot of injuries. If you look at his roster, there's a lot of injuries, but I think it's finally coming back down to earth. You'll see. I mean, I'm not saying he's got a bad team by any means. He's 3-1, so he's doing something right, but I was kind of waiting for the bubble to pop a little bit, and maybe not against Darryl, but here we are.
Well, let's give Darryl the credit. I mean, he did score 130 points. It's not. I mean, he didn't
continues to defy the odds. Is that a nice compliment?
I'll at least I mean I'll give Darryl credit here in that he's gotten more. I've seen him more active on the waiver wire, and Dalton Schultz. I mean, that was a great pickup. Gosh, I mean that's tight end is a wasteland anyways, and he's I think he's top 10 tight end right now in scoring.
Dak's maybe number 1 target. It's great.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, and I don't really have much to add to Nathan. His comments about Donald. I think I agree with most of what he's saying. I mean, Mike Williams. I still think. I mean, gosh, they're going to feature him. But obviously, the points he was scoring, he wasn't going to do that every week.
Right.
And, he didn't get Julio Jones out of his lineup, which obviously that hurt him even more. So, hey, Darryl got a nice win. So
he did.
Kudos to him. And here's, I know we're going to look at the other games, but that, Donald losing and just now kind of looking like, okay, we reassess his team a little bit. I mean, like Nathan said, he's 3-1, but that division, man, it's I don't know. It's kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde kind of division right now with the teams. Guys, I mean, we'll talk about the other games, but I don't know. It's very open. That division is very open to me. I mean, aside from Aaron punting on the season and everything, but
Tank.
Tank. So anyways, good win for Darryl. I mean, Darryl is, he's definitely one of the surprises without a doubt.
Yeah.
Good job,
Yeah.
Daryl.
Good job, Daryl. Give you props.
Give you the
I'm
kudos.
clapping.
Hey,
I'm clapping
you
for
were-
you, buddy.
you were
Oh,
top
wait,
scorer this week.
Daryl. I wasn't planning on returning this, so I hope you don't want it back, but I'm keeping it. I think I'm going to need it. All right, sorry, we can go on.
All right, Nathan, you defeated your brother in a glorious fashion.
In a glorious fashion, he was defeated. Yeah,
Yep.
it was. It
I
was
guess
not.
he didn't get the memo that Robbie Gould injured himself just before kickoff.
Yeah, that one was tough. That one was tough for him. Not that kickers matter, right, Richard? But
Kickers matter.
Christian Kirk, 1 point. That hurts him. Kyle Pitts continues to be very, very average rookie. Lions defense, I think he was counting on a little bit more from the Lions, and they didn't do too hot. But the Bengals didn't either. So there's really no super comparison there. Really the only bad performer I had was CeeDee Lamb. And like I said last week, it's just Dak is throwing to Schultz, he's throwing to Wilson, he's throwing to Amari Cooper. I don't know what's going on with CD. I don't know if he's just like in a bad matchup spot right now, or if it's just the connection's not there yet. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe he's missing his candles.
What?
Do you not know that reference? Okay, so CeeDee Lamb on Hard Knocks says that he cannot sit in a room without it smelling good, and so he has candles everywhere.
Gotcha. No, see, I only saw a few episodes.
If you didn't watch Hard Knocks, you wouldn't know that. So
I didn't watch the whole thing as much as I love CD.
Yeah.
It was hard to watch this year, honestly.
So,
well,
anyway,
I think Nathan's you're continuing to fire on all cylinders. Obviously you can point to Lamb. He has been disappointing since week 1. But I don't know. I part of it I think is, you got a little bit of the game script with the Cowboys, and they found their running game right now. But I don't know.
Their defense is playing better than I think they thought.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But then of course, Cooper's, still struggling to stay on the field, and so we'll see. We'll see what happens with him. But I think his talent is so good that, hopefully for your sake, he'll be back. But, you've got bright spots. Hollywood Brown is doing great. And,
he's had a 30-year breakout. I think everybody was expecting him to do this last year.
Yeah.
I know you were, Reid. Sorry.
Yeah, no, when you drafted him, in the later rounds, he was a guy I liked. Again, he's just, for where the picks and where I had drafting by the time I, was going through receivers, I didn't, he was in that range with like Mike Williams, somewhere around in that range where I had gotten my receivers. And so, I obviously didn't get in on them, but yeah, he's doing great. And, the only thing that, really there's nothing. Eckler's of course awesome. And, I know there's a little concern with Kamara with, just they've given him more of the rushing, so he hasn't got the receiving, but I don't know. I just feel like Kamara is just, he's going to get, he'll get right and he's going to get his points. I don't see that being, they're obviously going to throw the football to him. So,
right.
He didn't get the receiving, but he got 120 rushing yards. That's not something to be sad about,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think Nathan, we'll talk about your trade, but you're humming along, and it's a great position to be in, just to sit there and go, okay, I'm disappointed in, Lamb's, performance, and,
Right. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining by any means. I've got a plethora, even on my bench, I've still got guys that are just going lights out. So I'm very happy with how my team's performing.
Yeah. And I know Richard we will, usually later, towards the latter part of the season, we always do our review of the draft and kind of see like, okay, who really hit, who did well, on players and picks and everything. But I think, Nathan, a lot of these guys that you got receivers, I mean, you got way later, Gronk and guys that you got later rounds. And I think, you really excelled in the later round of the drafts with the guys you got. And, that helps because it gives you depth. And we all know you've got to have depth. There's so many injuries and, it's just going to happen. So the more depth you can have, the better. On Aaron's side, Aaron changed his name, mid game. And when I went to go look, his name was so long on didn't all come on my screen. So I had to go to his actual team roster and, figure out what the world his team name was. And, Aaron has taken it pretty hard. And, I listen, I get it in the sense that last year, like I said, my team was legitimately just bad. I mean, it just turned out to be a disaster. So I remember having a lot of lower scoring games and, it's tough. It's tough. And especially going for Aaron, I just kind of quick on his team. I mean, his keepers weren't bad. I mean, Cooper played through an injury, he still put up a good game. But there's no question that Aaron's draft is really, coming back to haunt him, in terms of just what's, how his team's doing. Mm-hmm. And I just, we've already talked about Mike Davis. I wasn't a huge fan of that. And I just, I think it just was one of those that, the draft isn't everything. We know that, free agency is a big part of it, but when you really miss out on a draft and have a bad draft, and then you just, maybe your keepers aren't, doing spectacularly great, then, you're really hurting. And, so I think that's where we get some of the frustration Aaron has with his team. And so, that's just, and I personally, I didn't love his draft. I don't remember what I even said when we talked about, we kind of were going through different drafts and stuff. I didn't love it. I'm thankful that Aaron picked Kyle Pitts, because, there would have been that temptation for me. Cause I was tempted to get Kyle Pitts, and I still think, Kyle Pitts is, he's 20 years old. He's going to be a great player. And I think he's going to be a future star of the league, but it just, rookie tight ends and the Falcons just not being a good team has really hurt. Yeah. And so here we are. And so Aaron obviously is trying to look for next year, which we'll talk about with the trade.
Right.
So I just want to share a couple thoughts about this matchup. One is Marquise Brown diving catch in the end zone that he had was amazing.
It was.
That was cool, so beautiful, and I'm jealous because last year I held on to him for way too long, and he did nothing for me. And now he's doing amazing things, and Mark Andrews is doing nothing. So,
can I just chime in here and say that I think you can put. He's younger now, but you can put Marquise Brown, I think, in basically the same category as Mike Williams. In other words, super talented, but I think the biggest question was, could they stay healthy? And right now, both of them are staying healthy, and we're seeing, we're seeing them, really excel. And obviously, Mike Williams a little bit different. They had to change offensive coordinator, and they're really featuring him. But, that's been the biggest question with Hollywood Brown is just like, okay, we know what kind of threat he can be, but can he stay healthy? And I think one of the changes they talked about this year was that he put on more weight, more muscle, so he could try to withstand, just the NFL. So yeah, he's doing great.
I'm pretty sure and Lamar Jackson's throwing it, which is great. And he's being on target, which is important. Last year, he was missing Brown so much. It was just, that's why it was so bad. It wasn't because Brown was bad. It was because Jackson was bad. And this year, he's playing so well. But Reid, every week, what am I texting you?
Mark Andrews.
I'm blaming you for Jackson not throwing to Mark Andrews.
Well, so. There is something to that, and I'll just throw this out there, not to take a lot of time on this, but with Hollywood Brown, now Andrews, will obviously, he can go on deeper routes, but I don't know. I saw a stat just yesterday that said right now Lamar Jackson is averaging the most yards per pass attempt in the league. And so that's new because normally, he would take his shots with Hollywood Brown in the past, but he was, doing a lot more of the shorter, passes to Andrews and a running back or whoever. And so now he's really, like you guys are talking about, he's really throwing it, deeper and taking those shots. So I think that's part of it. But I think, look, Andrews hasn't got a touchdown. He's going to get a touchdown. I mean, that guy's too big of a red zone weapon not to get a touchdown or get
he's
more.
So he's
yeah,
so
I
good
think he
too.
will.
Like when you watch him, it's so good. Like Lamar, that's his outlet. He doesn't need like Andrews is his outlet for sure.
Yeah.
And it's like I 100% agree. So
well, and there's also like because I own obviously Lamar Jackson. Jackson's putting up like fantasy points. I mean, he's putting 20 plus points up, but he's actually his touchdowns right now currently is the lowest of his career. So positive regression is coming. He's going to get more touchdowns. He's had a lot of total yards, and so the touchdowns are going to come. I mean, we've seen that before with guys. So hey, hang in there with Andrews. If you're a believer in Andrews, touchdowns are going to come.
Yeah. My second thought is so I'm really happy that Murray is not scoring more than Aaron Rodgers. That's my only other thought. After week 1, it's been pretty even, so I really appreciate that. Nathan, you're not making me feel terrible about the trade.
All right, let's move on.
Let's move on.
Sorry.
We talked about Reid's team already.
Wake up from his nap, so I was gone
problem,
past
no problem.
like 1 minute.
Reid, you're 0-4. We've already discussed, the situation with your team and what's going on. And even though you're scoring top half of the league, you're still losing. We get it. We all agree that you have a really good team and that you shouldn't be sad about it. But you're playing apparently one of the higher scorers of the week every week.
Yeah. So today, I saw that I got the hardest schedule in the league. So yeah, let's go. So yeah. Honestly, guys, it's weird. Like I said, I in the opening when I was wearing my great paper brown bag, last year this time I was 1-3, but I felt a lot worse because my team was just it was falling apart and it wasn't looking great. I look at my team now and it's kind of hard. I mean, obviously it stinks. You're 0-4, but I mean, for the most part, I mean, there's certain things, but for the most part, I really like my team this year, and I have a lot of guys going off, but I just between some different, matchups and some guys getting hurt during the games, that I'm playing and stuff, it's just, I just haven't been able to get it done, and so yeah, it's been pretty perplexing. So I almost kind of just laugh. I'm kind of at that point now, with what's going on, and obviously Dwayne had a great week. Can't take anything away from Dwayne, and Debo went off again, and
Debo went off. Jared Cook had a great game.
Yeah.
Mike Evans had a pretty good game. That's Reid. It's just you got 2 players that scored 30 and 31 and 20, and I'm just like looking at it like what? And then of course the Bills defense 34.
That game.
Amazing.
Oh gosh,
nuts.
Amazing.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That was a good game by Dwayne. He deserves all the credit for all that.
Oh yeah,
sure.
Dwayne's
totally.
team, he's hot. He's hot on my heels. I think there's been some consistency variations in some of his players. Obviously Allen Robinson, with Justin Fields has not been great. It looks like Justin Fields has been targeting Mooney more than it has Robinson. So I'm interested to see if that will continue now that he's declared the starter. DeAndre Swift dealing with some kind of injury. He only got 8 points. So we'll see. Dwayne's chugging along. He's doing what needs to do to win.
Yeah.
He's 3-1. So
that pick, right? By the way, that DeAndre Swift pick was a risky one that paid off for him.
It was. Yes,
I really appreciate.
Yes, and that's what I said in the beginning of the season. I said that's going to be the make it or break it for Dwayne, in my opinion. Because a lot of people like me, especially, I'm like, he's on the Lions. They have no passing options. Like all anybody has to do is just stuff the run, and boom, Swift is done. But no, they've been creative in the play calling, and they've gotten Swift involved in the passing game, and so I give them credit.
Yep, absolutely.
Reid, that's a tough break. That's a tough break, Reid. That's a tough break.
So Reid, did you? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to move on, but
I would love for you. No, I'd love for you to move on.
Okay, great. Okay, great. So, Fighting Billy Goats 4-0. Reid, were you last week? Did you pick against PC? Was that was you, right? Or was that Nathan?
I picked PC.
Okay. Did we all pick PC? I thought one of us didn't.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
No,
I may have picked Jonathan. I don't remember.
Oh, maybe I don't know. Maybe I did pick Jonathan too. I don't know.
I can't remember.
Anyway,
who knows?
PC lost. He was just as bad as I was. So
he was. I don't mean that.
Yeah, he's no. I mean, he's had like 2 really bad weeks, and he's had like 2 great weeks. So it's just kind of been this like, he's been like one or the other, and so I'm not. I still look at his team, and I don't go like, oh man, his team. I still think he's got a great squad, and he'll be projected to score a lot of points still. John. I mean, what do you guys think about the cheat code Cordero Patterson?
I was just about to mention him, and I just want to say real quick that man, Cordero Patterson, is holding his team together like glue. Like, look at the rest of his players. Look at Marvin Jones, 5 points. Hawkinson, 8. Patrick, 6. I mean, Jonathan's still got a good team. Ezekiel Elliott's playing great. Metcalf's still playing great. Josh Allen's great. But past that, and we saw this in his draft. He drafted, and he looked at his draft and was like, oh, I guess I should have drafted some better wide receivers. And,
I mean, to be fair, it was fractured when McCaffrey went down. So Patterson was a great pickup for him to be able to
absolutely
combat that for sure and have that glue his the shattered remains back together.
Absolutely, I agree with you. He did the right pickup.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how if this, if he continues. I mean, it's been. I mean, Patterson, of course, has been in the league for quite a while, and it's a pretty amazing story. The other thing, I don't know if you guys noticed, but this is the other thing why I say it's a cheat code. CBS has given him running back and wide receiver eligibility.
Yeah,
so
I did see that.
So Jonathan can do whatever. I mean, think about all the players between receivers and running backs who they sometimes switch in and out, and they don't give that eligibility to. So it's very interesting.
Yeah.
That they're doing that. I mean, obviously he looks more like a wide receiver, playing, but again,
right. I think he'll come back down to earth a little bit. I'm not expecting him to continue to do 3 touchdowns every game. But for Jonathan's sake, with McCaffrey, which actually McCaffrey may be coming back soon. I think he practiced yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, I think regardless, Jonathan had a great pickup. Good pickup for Jonathan.
He can just put Patterson in the Marvin Jones spot and then he's good to go.
Or I mean, and Marvin Jones had a tough matchup last week. He's played pretty well other than that, but I would move Patrick, honestly. If we're talking about, I'd take Patrick out, I'd leave Jones in, and I'd put Patrick where Patterson where Patrick is, and there you go.
All day, So, now it'd be interesting for Atlanta too because they're playing the Jets in London this week. So
it's an early. See, and those games make me so nervous. Because it's so early. Like, are the players going to have jet lag? Like, a lot of things to consider there.
All right, well, let's go to the big scorer of the week versus John Mack. Coach Bruce showing the young tyke how to do it.
Well, I mean, but again, it's just like we said, as the Chiefs go, Tyreek Hill was due, and he had 47 points and 41 from Mahomes.
I called it last week. I said that.
Insane.
I said 40-point game incoming.
Yeah.
Insane.
He is, it's amazing. Tyreek Hill, like the kind of, I mean, obviously the player he is, but just the way that his games go, like he's kind of become this guy that he usually like either explodes and nobody stops him. It's like their game plan failed, or teams really just game plan so well that he doesn't do like a whole lot. It's amazing, like how extreme it is.
Yeah.
But hey, Bruce, I mean, he just, he killed it. And, he got, of course, great pickup. Again, another tight end spotlight, Dawson Knox.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He's
made me mad when I realized I missed him.
He's killing it right now.
Which is huge because Bruce that's been Bruce's Achilles heel, tight end for sure. So, great win for him. John Mack, I mean, again, it's not like he was terrible, but I mean, John Mack's got a good team, but he just ran into Bruce this week.
Yeah.
So
well, and -3 for Panthers is not helpful.
yeah.
No, it's not. It's not. But everybody else played pretty well. I mean, Thielen and Lockett definitely were his letdowns this week. They could have been the difference makers, but they were down. Side note, I have Mark Andrews and I have Knox in my work league. Who should I start this week at tight end? Knox or Mark Andrews? Discuss.
I don't know the matchup.
Knox has the Chiefs, who are not good against tight ends. And Mark Andrews plays
Monday night against the Colts.
Monday nights against the Colts. Yep.
I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like Andrews is due to get in the end zone, and he's putting up pretty good receiving production. It just hasn't been getting in the end zone. I feel like he's due. I mean, it's hard to sit Knox because, I mean, gosh, the guy's
right. He's, what is it's crazy.
I mean, you probably can't go wrong with Knox because that's probably going to be a high scoring game. But
true.
Man, that's a good problem to have.
Oh, it's great. Nobody, he went unopposed. Nobody else tried to get him in my work league.
What time does Knox play on Sunday?
Sunday night football.
Yeah.
Knox is Sunday night? Well,
Sunday
there you
night
go.
Or Monday night.
So Andrews is Monday night?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
And so Knox is Sunday night?
Yes.
Yep.
Well, there you go. So, I mean, you wait for those afternoon games to finish, and then you make your decision there. Do you want to go safe with Andrews, or do you want to go risky with Knox?
Sure.
Depends on what your matchup looks like.
How my team is doing. Yeah.
That's what I would do.
I like it, Richard. Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, that's perfect for you, for them both to be late games like that.
I know.
So.
All right, well, let's
back on track.
Who else do we have?
That's it.
Oh, good. You see,
let's talk about transactions.
I'm trying to be conscientious, guys, because this is kind of the time where I think Daryl gets like real triggered and just starts shaking because he's getting angry, and we're just
36 minutes, Reid. You better keep going. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
guys,
transactions.
I think if we like just cut off the show and restarted and came out in 2 segments, I think Daryl would just love our show. I think it's just the fact that we just keep going, I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. Yeah. We're back on track. All right. Transactions. Yes.
Transactions. Where's the trade? Isn't that in here, or is that not in here?
Is the trade in there?
It
should be in there.
Trades up in the top.
Or trade reports. Well, we can't find the trade. It's missing.
Sorry, Richard. I didn't mean to say that.
We'll look at the fab and then we'll look at the trade. Let's look at the fab first. Reid, do you wanna talk about your Elijah Mitchell cost there?
Elijah Mitchell cost. Yeah, right. Yeah, he's just gonna get hurt and not play. Yeah, Dame Williams. Of course I overspent for Williams. I originally was going to put around like a $35 to $40 bid, which, would have still won it and I wouldn't have spent nearly as much. But, I mean, here's the deal. I have David Montgomery. It made a lot more sense for me to really go out and get him. I'm also 0-4. And so I had $97 of fab still. So the reality is, in my mind, is it doesn't make any sense for me to have a bunch of fab, in a week or two if I'm out of the playoff hunt for the season, because other than just trying to put in fab for, just competing, if I'm not in the playoff picture, it's, you're not going to find, middle to late season, how many people have said, hey, I found on free agency, I found a keeper.
Yeah.
I mean, it just usually if you find a keeper on free agency, it's like that early part of the season where a rookie, breaks out or something, that you get a guy. So, for me, it was just like, I got to get a win. I mean, it's kind of desperation mode now. So, and the reality is Damon Williams is, you're getting a starter who's going to get most of the work for 4 to 5 weeks while Montgomery's out. So, for me, it was worth it. I mean, that's why I was like, all right, I'm probably overspending, which I was, but, that's just my rationale in it. So,
you spent more than I could even try to. So.
No, Reid, it makes sense. I mean, I get where you're coming from. You're not tanking the season. You're not quitting. You're gonna power through, and I think it's almost makes sense. I mean, Damian Williams was the starter for Kansas City last year, so it's like, was it last year? Or was it 2 years ago? I can't remember. Anyway, I think it was, I think it's a smart move. That's a lot of fab, and we've still got a long season to go, but it seems like that's once a week somebody's dropping some big change on somebody, and it makes sense for you because it's a handcuff. So
yeah,
we'll see.
yeah, well, yeah, and I could have, let's just say, down the road, let's say that I'm out of the playoff hunt like last year, where I kind of know, and I start, doing like Aaron or whatever, just looking for trades and maybe trying to get some draft picks. If I happen to trade, Montgomery and I have Williams, well, if Montgomery's not back, then I can package it to somebody and just say, here, you got both guys, and
right,
whatever. Yeah, so it kind of just made sense for multiple reasons, and we'll see. It's probably not going to be worth it, and it'll probably, probably will flame out, but I guess at some point in the season, everyone's got to, shoot their shot, and so
I see. Just to touch on it real quick, PC, picking up Laviska Shenault after he dropped him the week before because he had a pretty good game versus Cincinnati. So I was kind of, when he dropped him, I was actually a little surprised. I was like, I know he hasn't lived up to the hype, but I think he'll bounce back. It's just funny seeing that.
I wanted to pick him up, but I couldn't figure out who to drop, so I ended up just not getting him. But I wanted to go for him myself. So all right, Nathan, let's talk about the trade, brother.
Break it down.
Yeah. So Nathan, big trade. So you get, of course, Chase Edmonds, Stephon Diggs. You gave up your 5th and 6th round picks next year, and Aaron got Robert Woods 1st round and 4th round draft picks from you. And wow, I think this is the earliest we've had a monster trade of a trade of this magnitude. And I love it. I absolutely love it. So Aaron obviously made it clear that he was punting, waving the white flag on the season, and so he followed through with that. And so Nathan, why don't you walk us through just the trade? We get to get like some inside info on the trade, how it went down.
Inside info, indeed. And this is what I was telling you, Richard. This is what I was saying. I don't think everybody realizes the full magnitude of this trade because we added it to the comments, but they've not posted. I don't know where they're at, but it said trade comments, and I put the trade comments. So maybe when it got accepted, I don't know, maybe they disappeared. But this trade is actually for what you see, and I get to choose. Aaron gets one of my running backs at the end of the year, and I get to choose which running back that is.
Out of the 4 you have now currently?
Out of Eckler or Alvin Kamara.
Wow.
So Aaron,
that puts a whole nother context to it.
That's what I'm saying. Like Aaron and I talked about
Breaking news.
This is breaking news. Yeah, because it's not. We typed it out, and I told Aaron, I was like, okay, it should be in the comments when it posts. So it was confirmed. No, so it's basically we're treating it like a conditional draft pick. You know how when NFL teams trade and So before I get into that part, it is, yes, I get to choose. It is my choice at the end of the year. I get to look at my team before the start of next season, and I have to give Aaron Eckler or Kamara, my choice. The only stipulation that we put in there is if one of those guys gets injured, like a critical injury that takes them out for like the rest of the season or something, at that point, Aaron can choose the other running back. He's not tied down to me choosing. So on the surface, if you looked at our trade, it looked like Aaron was getting a good deal, but it looked like I won the trade. And in reality, I think Aaron, to be honest, I think we both won because I needed to shore up. I've got a great team this season, and I needed another running back bad. Like I had 2 running backs, and then Nyheim Hines got 0 this past week, and I'm like sweating because I'm like, if one of my top running backs goes down, I've got nothing, So I'm looking for a trade. Aaron was saying, hey, I'm looking for draft picks and all that. So how this thing kind of came to be, it actually started with me. I think I offered Aaron, a first and a third this season, and Woods for Diggs, Edmonds, his fourth and his seventh or something along that. And then I actually even threw in a conditional draft pick for 2022 if I won the championship. And he kind of muddled it over, came back, was like, how about instead of this conditional draft pick, it's a conditional, you give me one of your running backs of your choosing, depending on how they finish out the year. Like if Alvin Kamara sucks the rest of the year, then that's a risk Aaron is taking. I can give him Alvin Kamara.
Right.
But basically that's what we agreed to. And, we kind of went back and forth a little bit. It took us about 2 days really of kind of going back and forth on which picks we were going to transfer. But, yes, this was a huge win for Aaron. I mean, honestly. And I think originally I was going to give Aaron a third round, a first and a third. And then I kind of came back and was like, if I'm giving up one of my running backs at the end of the year, then I'm going to, that's got to change to a fourth round, at least give me a little bit to work with in the draft. So it serves my purposes. I needed an extra running back. Edmonds has been great, great PPR running back. He's just not making any touchdowns. And then Diggs, of course, has come back to life after his slow start at the beginning of the season. Aaron got a great wide receiver in Robert Woods, and Sean McVay's already come out and said, hey, we understand that, they pretty much got rid of, or not Sean McVay said that, what the Cardinals did last week was they shut down Kupp. And he said, we've got to get more dynamic. We've got to get Robert Woods involved. So I think Robert Woods is going to come back to life. I think, Stafford's going to get back. And that was kind of my pitch to Aaron. I was like, I think Robert Woods is still going to be a great wide receiver. I just, for my purposes, what I'm looking for right now, I want some guarantees. And so he wanted draft picks. He got his draft picks. He'll get a keeper, a strong keeper in Eckler or Kamara. So yeah, it actually worked out really well. And we got it done. He did tell me that he had some other offers on the table. So we were, I was trying to work and make it happen before he pulled the trigger on a different trade. And, it was a lot of moving parts, but, we got it done. And yeah, it's just funny because we put the comments in there. Like I typed it out. It was like, I give one of my running backs into the year. But when this trade posted, it was nowhere to be found. So, Dwayne mentioned it to me the other day. He was like, oh, yeah, so you did this trade, but he didn't mention anything about the running. And so I'm like, I don't know if everybody knows. So I knew, coming on the show this afternoon, I would have the opportunity to clear the air and let everybody know that it's not as lopsided for me as it may seem, because Aaron still gets a pretty big keeper at the end of the year. So,
yeah.
Wow.
No, it's definitely. Yeah, it's definitely. I like what Aaron did. If he really wants to punt the season, this is perfect for him. He's definitely. If you look at the end of the year, he's got the better of the trade. Yeah. But you've got the better of the trade if you win the championship. So right. I mean, right. It's a win-win. Specifically, if you win the national, or I don't know why I want to call it national championship, but the championship.
Yeah, the championship.
It's
a tough balance, because we are in a keeper league, so you want to build for the future, but also at the same time. And Richard, I know that like you said, you tried this last year where you were, hey, I want to do anything I can to try and win this year. So it's like you kind of have to decide, okay, am I going to stay where I'm at? Am I going to build for the future, or am I going to go all in, trade what I can, try and stack my team and win this thing? And like we talked about before the show, I've not won one yet. I've not won a championship. So this is the year that I feel really good about it, but we'll see. There's no guarantees in fantasy football. Reid could go undefeated the rest of the way and knock me out in the championship.
So Nathan, let me ask you, does this mean that
I got to take a moment. That's a good one. That's good. Oh, sorry. All right. We're on a time crunch here.
Does this eliminate Kamara and Eckler from any type of trading you could possibly have at the rest of the year?
Ooh, good question.
That is a very good question. I think so. I think it's pretty much solidified that I'm not trading them. I probably wouldn't anyway. I mean, Richard, you of all people know, you've asked me about Kamara, I think, for the past 4 years.
Probably about
really,
once a quarter.
Really, yeah, really
traded
trying to
him.
get him. And he was on my never trade list ever. Like, I'm like, no, I'm not trading him. He's my one guy that I'm not trading. I went out and got Eckler from Reid this year. We did the trade with AJ Brown. AJ Brown is back at practice, by the way, Reid. You should be really excited. But Eckler, I really like Eckler this year, and I was big on him coming into the season. So,
awesome.
I don't think I was going to consider any trades for either of them anyway while I was winning. Now if obviously I started going on like a losing streak and it was like 4 or 5, 3, 4 or 5 games, maybe I would throw up a Hail Mary and be like, oh, I got to do a trade. But now that Aaron and I are in this trade, I think we're locked in, and I don't think there'll be, unless Aaron would have to agree to it, I think, and I think he'd have to be involved in some way. But our agreement is solidified. So,
yeah.
Wait, this is the first time. Sorry, real quick. This is the first time. I have to just interject real quick. The first time anybody has ever commented while we were streaming, but somebody left us a comment. I have to read it. Yes. It says, would you guys trade for D-Hop and Chase? Would you trade Diggs for D-Hop and Chase?
Wait, on YouTube? Where we?
Look at this. Hold on, I got you.
On YouTube?
Are we like on YouTube?
Oh, because we're live streaming on YouTube.
Yeah.
Richard, man, we're hitting the big time.
So
yeah. Say it again. Let me hear the trade.
Diggs for DeAndre Hopkins and Chase Edmonds.
Who's getting? I
assume it's Chase Edmonds.
They would get Hopkins and Chase Edmonds
for Diggs.
Well, Diggs. Would you rather have Diggs or would you rather have D-Hop and Chase Edmonds? Or it's either Chase Edmonds or Jamar Chase. If it was Jamar Chase, I'd want to have DeAndre Hopkins, Jamar Chase. But Chase Edmonds, DeAndre Hopkins, or Diggs.
I mean, if I need a running back with a receiver, I would definitely do the Hopkins and because I mean I personally like Diggs more than Hopkins rest of season, but I mean it's still DeAndre Hopkins in that offense, and then you're getting Chase Edmonds. Now I know some people say, well, you get 2 guys from the same team. That team scores so many points, and Edmonds, like Nathan said, he catches all these passes. I would take that side of it.
Right. Yeah. I think I'd have to look at my team and think, if I'm going for balance, like if I'm if I don't have a running back and I need a running back and somebody's like, hey, give me, Diggs, and I'll give you Edmonds and Hopkins or something like that. I know that's not exactly the trade, but I would probably have those two. And it also depends on the league. Is it a PPR league? Because if it's not PPR, then I don't want to chase Edmonds. But
it's completely random. I just wanted to.
Yeah.
I was surprised to see it.
Richard, we have arrived. We have arrived. Yeah.
Well, whoever asked it is no longer watching, but
well, maybe they'll come back and watch.
Yeah, maybe. All right.
They probably saw us all freaking out like, what? We gonna come back? And they're like, these guys are losers.
They're not legitimate. He just put a brown paper bag on his head.
Psychos.
This is a very specific podcast.
Yeah, I mean, this is wow. I told you guys had a jam-packed show. Just so we can keep it moving with just Nathan's thing. I mean, Nathan, that's definitely a new element to our show. That definitely puts a lot more into the trade. And I wasn't knocking the trade. I definitely think it was tilted towards you. When I saw it, but I wasn't obviously knocking the trade. Because I thought it was still win-win, but yeah, this definitely makes Aaron, it sets him up well for next year. And of course, he can still do work. As evidence of what I did last year was when you were like, okay, I'm done. And then, you kind of, your strategy changes into keeper league. And so you're going a whole different way about your season.
Right. You go from win mode to, okay, build for next year mode. And I think Aaron's set up for success. I mean, he's getting a running back. he's already got a few keepers on his team, unless he trades them. And he could very well trade some guys and, but he's got Amari Cooper. He's got Kyle Pitts. We still, a long season. We don't know how those guys are going to do. So.
Yeah. And for your end, Nathan, that makes sense. You were needing another wide receiver that could just be, kind of take you there. And Chase Edmonds, I mean, he's no slouch. I mean, a full point PPR. I mean, if he gets a touchdown or two, then probably people are talking about him differently than even now. So, he's great for PPR. So I think it was a great trade. I mean, the only thing that I really think that it maybe goes awry for you is just if, like with everybody else, because it's early in the season, if there's some sort of, injuries, if injuries happen and then you're sitting there like, hey, I want to make a trade, but I already traded my picks, that could happen. But again, your roster is so loaded that you could get creative and make trades.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, there is some risk with an early season trade like that, but I mean, I think it's a win-win for both you guys. I liked it. I like it more now.
Yeah. And I think, and that was the thing. I think I wanted something that was going to serve both of us. I didn't want to, screw Aaron over, and I didn't want Aaron to screw me over, obviously. So I just wanted something a little bit more even. And I didn't know. I thought maybe you were going to know, Reid, because you're a commissioner. So I didn't know if you got like special commissioner notes that saw like us type that out. But anyway,
I'll have to check with the head of the Secret Society of Commissioners to see if he knows anything about it.
Well, I mean, yeah. Hopefully he's not going to throw a fuss about it. Like, whoa, we've never done that before.
All right, Richard. What are we moving on to next? Are we moving on?
We're doing previews. We're going to do the previews.
Okay. We're skipping my little segment there for time's sake?
Oh no, let's do your segment. You're right. Let's do your segment. I'm sorry.
I remembered. I just thought we were saving it for the end.
Well, no, I looked at our time at 56 minutes. So
well, Richard's got a segment too. Richard said he's got to say something.
Yeah.
I already did. I dropped Ayuk.
Oh.
Oh wait. Sorry, I just got a notification. Kadarius Toney, we got a believer.
Hey, if they start utilizing them, that could be a great pickup, Richard.
Yeah, that guy.
I have Galladay too, so I don't know what I think about two Giants wide receivers on my team.
If they're smart, they'll start getting them involved.
Yeah.
Sterling Shepard of all people was their number one for 3 weeks.
All right, Richard, why don't we do this? Why don't we let's just go quickly through this week's matchups and just kind of pick our winners, and then we'll close off with the last two segments if we have time.
All right. Let's just go quickly and just say who. Let's not go into great detail.
Sounds good.
Because it'll save me from feeling sad about myself. We could scroll through just a little bit on the teams so that way people can see them. Why don't you go ahead? Why don't you two make your picks between PC and me? Actually, let me take that back. Let me pick for you guys. It's gonna be PC for Reid. It's gonna be PC for Nathan. I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm just gonna scroll through for the fans out there. Now that we have fans that tune in live, because we're cool.
All right. Well, Richard, since you just took the words out of my mouth, I'm just not gonna say no. I'm definitely picking PC because PC's doing like this seesaw thing with this season, and so like I pick against him. And I feel like then he goes off and wins, and then I don't pick. Just like this back and forth. So I'm just gonna make it real simple here. I'm going PC to rebound.
This right here explains my team very well.
I'm going Richard. I'm going Richard this week.
Wow, upset special. Upset special.
And I think it's going to be very slim margin. I think you're only going to win by a few points. And this is what I think is going to happen, Richard. I think Damian Harris is going to bounce back. You need that to happen big time.
Oh, badly.
I think Damian Harris will bounce back. Scroll down a little bit. You're controlling this, not me. Yeah. Emmanuel Sanders. Yeah, that's going to be a shootout with Kansas City. He's going to have a big game. That's why I put him. Mark Andrews, he's getting a touchdown this week. So, and Darnell Mooney, look at him. Look at that Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, now that Justin Fields has been announced the starter for the rest of the season.
Richard, I got you by like 4 or 5 points.
Hold on. Maybe I could start Odell and his quarterback can miss a wide open touchdown run.
It could happen.
All right. It happened last week. All right, let's move on. Let's go to Baghead himself and Mr. Bruce, aka Reid.
I just want to make, just before you make
Bruce.
your picks, I just want to note that all 5 weeks so far, I've been projected to win by CBS, so I'm cursed. And Richard. And Richard.
The CBS curse.
I did pick you last week, and you were pissed when I picked you.
Go ahead, guys. Reid? Go ahead.
Reid, I'm going to pick you again.
I'm picking Reid this week over Bruce. And here's my rationale. That's the only rationale. I'm not going to go into in depth. We just said we weren't going to. Buffalo, exactly. Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Clyde Edwards-Helaire are playing Buffalo. They might get into a shootout, but I think Buffalo has been playing great defense, and I think that they're going to shut down certain players. I think they'll shut down the running game, and if they cover Tyreek Hill well enough, then that would only leave Mahomes having a good game. So,
and Myles Gaskin is done for the season.
He's
good.
So I trust in you, Reid.
Well, I did catch a break, and y'all didn't mention it, but Calvin Ridley is not playing this week.
Okay. Well, then there you go. That's even more.
He did not travel.
He didn't travel with the team
for personal reasons.
Sorry, I forgot to scroll through the team real quick for everybody. Lineups subject to change.
Yeah.
Okay, that's enough of that. All right, let's go on to Mr. 4.0 selling out for the season versus John Mack.
Look at this game. Look at this game.
This is the game of the week right here, I think. I'm pretty sure this is going to be the game of the week.
Man.
It's going to be awesome. I'm excited to see what happens.
Somehow my coach rating is 10th, but okay.
That means you're leaving a lot of points on the board, brother, or off the board.
I mean, when your team's real good. CD, thanks, CD.
That probably is the reason.
Gonna be some good matchups, this should be a good one. I'm not gonna comment. You tell me.
I think it's a good. I think it's it's gonna be a good game. I think the key player for John Mack is Gibson. It's a tough matchup, and he just still is kind of obviously people want to see more from him, but they just haven't seen the usage they everyone wants. So he'll be a key player this week. But I'm going to pick Nathan, and I'm going to pick Nathan to keep winning.
Yeah,
this week.
I'm with you. I agree.
Thanks, guys. Sorry, John Mack. It's not just because I'm on the show. I just have a good team.
All right, let's go to the Co-Commish versus Come At Me Bro. I'm going to go ahead and go with Tum Tum for this one.
Is Daryl going to come out swinging again? Like, what is going? He's like the opposite of PC. It's like this back and forth, wave. But his players are not as good as PC's. Jonathan Taylor had a great game last week.
Yes, he did.
That's part. That's part of what the difference, game. Right?
Yeah, it depends what they do, what the Colts do, because one week it's Nahum Hines and next week it's Jonathan Taylor. So, I'm going PC though.
Yeah, no,
I'll come at you. I'll come at you, Daryl. I'm going PC.
Not PC, Jonathan.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
You are nothing, Jonathan.
Then you'll continue.
You just live in the shadow of your dad,
even though you just beat him.
I'm going Jonathan. I do think I do think Patterson's going to come back to earth, but it may not be this week since Ridley's out. So and they're playing the Jets. So I'm picking Jonathan to win this week.
Yeah,
sounds good. We all got Jonathan. So. All right, Donald versus Josh. We have the. Is this the anti-game of the week? I'm not really sure what you call this game.
Uh-oh. Ruh-roh. Are you guys all there?
I'll start. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay. All right. It went black for a moment, and I was like, uh-oh.
I just thought you were excited about the matchup, but it's just your computer.
No, I was calling this the anti-game of the week.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yeah. Gosh. I mean, assuming Donald gets his lineup set right, I'm gonna go. Gosh, I know we said we are gonna do this fast. I'm gonna go Donald here.
Josh, I just have one request, buddy. Get your lineup ready for Josh Gordon. He's going to light it up. He is going to be the main event and the only person that scores on the Chiefs this week. 2 touchdowns and 50 yards rushing incoming. Josh Gordon, book it. All Lives Matter wins in a heartbreaking loss to Who's Your Daddy.
You heard it here first.
And the fantasy community fantasy community goes crazy over Josh Gordon.
Josh Gordon.
Oh
man. All right, last game of the week. We have Dwayne versus Aaron.
I just look at his team name and I'm just
you know what would be really ironic about this is if Aaron won.
Hey, wouldn't it be like the ultimate thing in fantasy football for Aaron just also to start a winning streak after his trade with Nathan?
Robert Woods goes off.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I think Dwayne's gonna keep going.
Well, I'll say this. Yeah. I know Aaron is tanking, but I hope that he puts in his best players and continues to trug along the way he should.
Yes.
And not just fall over. Yes. Don't tank that way. If you want
to if
you want to trade away players and get draft picks, that's fine. But to actually tank is not fine with me.
What a story you'll have if you go 0-4, decide to tank, and then end up winning the championship. I mean, that's worth trying.
That'd be like that story. The greatest story ever told.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Dwayne here. I think Dwayne continues on.
Me too.
All right, is that everybody?
That's everybody.
That's all of them.
So what are we voting on, Reid? I'm excited.
All right, so one of the things we're going to be voting on here in the maybe mid-season, I don't know, coming weeks, once we get, we'll have a couple things that we're going to vote on that was kind of brought up, and we want to do it in season when pretty much most everybody's paying attention. One of the things that was proposed, and a lot of leagues do this, when we started our keeper league, it was kind of early phases. I mean, keeper leagues were there, but it was kind of an early time of keeper leagues in fantasy football. Most people were still just doing redrafts. Dynasty, that was only for like the real hardcore, but we did keeper league. And when we started, we just said, hey, you get to keep, I think we maybe started with 2 people or, to start and then whatever. So we're three players, keep 3 players, no penalty, just what players you want to keep. You keep 3 of them. What a lot of leagues do is they will, you have your keepers. So if you say, hey, we're going to keep 3 players, but then what you have to do is you have to give the following season when it comes to keeper time, whoever you select as your keeper, you have to give up that round draft pick that you got that player. So, if you have a player that you got in the first round and you keep them. So let's just say, I mean, we're not in a redraft now, but let's say you're in a redraft. And so you got CMC. Well, if you keep CMC, you're giving up your first round draft pick wherever your team finishes. So then you would not have first round pick where other teams would. So one of the cool things about this is that there's a little bit more of a strategy. It's not complicated, but when it comes to keepers, it incentivizes you to really not only complete the whole draft, like really draft well, like, take your shot, how we talk about later in the round, say maybe this guy has a potential just to explode, like Justin Jefferson last year, where Josh got him. That would have been like for Josh keeping Justin Jefferson, he would only had to give up, a much later round draft pick for that. So when we do the draft, you're still going to draft the same, amount of players. You're just going to be giving up that round draft pick. So if we did that and we voted for it, because the next question might be like, well, hey, what would you do if, we're already in a keeper league, we have 3 players we kept. The way that it would work is it would still be the same. So let's say I keep, one of my 3 keepers. So if it's DJ Moore, let's say, okay, I'm going to keep him. Or let's say I'm going to keep, I'm going to keep 3 guys that I kept the previous season. Let's say I'm just going, I want to keep the same 3. The way that we would do it is we would tier it. Okay. How do they look? What is their, basically preseason ranks, and say, hey, this is your first round, this is your second round, this is your third round. So it'd be some way, that we would do that for the first year, because we'd have to figure that out. We're not going to just vote to restart completely. We would just make it to where, hey, if you're keeping a guy from the previous year and he was one of your keepers, it's going to be one of your first 3-round draft picks. But let's say this year, if you got a guy in the first round and you kept him, that's really like saying, hey, I'm giving up my 4th-round draft pick, for this year. And so, incentivize you if you hit on somebody later rounds. So you kind of have to decide, because you might have some great players, but you're giving up some higher draft picks. So you might get a guy, let's say PC last year, he didn't draft James Robinson. He picked him up after the draft. So if PC had said, hey, I'm going to keep James Robinson, that would count as just your last round draft pick. And so, so if you got something off the waivers, man, I pretty much got this guy for free as a keeper. It's like no cost. So, it's still the same in the sense you're keeping 3 guys, but it makes you just have to think a little bit, like in your strategy. You're like, okay, am I okay not having one of the first, round, 3 rounds of draft picks? I mean, it's not an unfair advantage. Like it's fun because there's a little more strategy in it, but it also incentivizes you to keep, get keepers. But then also, if you're a team that maybe is Aaron, you're rebuilding, that maybe kind of works in your favor, because if you're one of the stacked teams, like let's just say PC, man, he's been running. I mean, he's been on a roll the last 3 years. Well, then he's going to have to think a little bit more about, okay, well, do I want to keep keeping these guys, or do I have somebody else that I would rather keep so I can have, this kind of draft pick, whatever round. Now the next question might be, hey, what about, we trade draft picks? Well, how does that work? So like, for instance, I guess I'm going to pause here. Nathan, you got to go sign off here.
Yeah, so, I gotta head out. I gotta take the boys to karate practice. So
see you, buddy.
We'll see you guys.
All right.
And Reid, I'll let you know what I think at a later date. So far, so good. You're on a roll. Just keep rolling. Keep rolling.
Okay. Hopefully,
I'll see you guys.
All right. See you, Nathan. See ya. So just the last part of this, Richard, is if we have a draft pick, so you say, how does that work, for next year? So like Aaron, for instance, he's got 2 first-round draft picks for next year. He's still going to have essentially that, whatever round that falls into, he's still going to have a, we'll still work out the draft picks. It's not like he's going to miss out and it's going to lose out on that.
So he's going to have the draft pick. I get that, but is it going to be a first round or is it going to be a 4th round?
Well, no. See, theoretically, it's still going to be like when we start. Even though we say it's first round, when we start, it's really like a 4th round because we keep 3 players. Right. But the way that this will look is it'll show all the rounds. So how we say, hey, we only have to fill the rest of the roster. We'll have a full set of rounds. So you're going to have some rounds where you're not going to have 12 picks in a round. You're going to have there's only 8 picks this round because teams kept the player. And
that's what I'm saying. Like for Aaron, if he keeps, let's say a 4th rounder, a 4th round keeper, a 7th round keeper, and a 9th round keeper, does that pick that he got from Nathan count as a 1st round pick or a 4th round pick?
So that's a good question. You would have potentially, let's just say for Aaron, for instance, okay, he's got 2 first rounders. If Aaron decides to keep Kyle Pitts, okay, he doesn't have 2 first rounders. He's got 1. So yes, theoretically he's going to get I guess it would probably be a 1st rounder, because I guess you would have a full, 17 rounds, I guess, or how many roster spots we have. So, theoretically, I guess he would. That's something I'll have to check on, because that's the thing. It's a little bit, because we do trade draft picks, so it makes it a little bit tricky, just trying to do it
for this year.
Yeah,
it makes it tricky for this year.
Right. Right. Makes it tricky for this year. But I mean, here's the thing, Nathan, so for Nathan, you say, well, he gave it first round pick. Well, here's the thing with Nathan, if he keeps, somebody that, one of his keepers from last year, who's like a first round talent, he does lose that draft pick. So we'd have to figure that part out. I mean, it's not going to be in a way that I think it's going to be like, oh, Aaron really lost out. And I mean, he's still getting higher draft capital.
Right.
We would have to figure that out. I think that would be the only thing with doing this format, is just because we love to trade draft picks and we're in a keeper league. So it's just trying to figure out how do the draft picks work. And I think with our CBS settings, it's custom, the way that we do stuff. So a lot of things I think we just have to implement it. And that's something we'll have to figure out, is CBS letting us, with the penalty on rounds. And that's something we have to look into, because some league sites don't give you the flexibility like others do. And we've never done this with CBS, but it's something we've talked about. A lot of keeper leagues, that's what they do, and they say, okay, hey, I have to give up, this guy for that. I love the way that we do it now with draft picks and trading. So it's not one of those, I don't think anyone's going to be upset if it doesn't, if people shoot it down, but that's kind of essentially what it is. We'd have to, like I said, I think the big thing would just be working out our draft picks, with trading, and what does that look like, with the whole thing. So that's really, and if people want that, people may not want that. They may say, hey, I just want to keep my guys. I don't want to have to figure out rounds, because that could get, a little bit more, when you look at your roster, and some people don't like that. So, which I get. So that's one of the things that's been proposed.
Okay. So let me ask you Nathan's side, just because I want to understand when I trade draft picks or trade for or away draft picks. Let's say Nathan wants to keep Kamara and Eckler, but he traded his first round draft pick. So that first round draft pick that he traded away, does that count as what? Because what you're saying is like Kamara would count as a first round keeper, but he doesn't have a first round draft pick. So how does that work?
Yeah, that's a good question. That is a good question. We have to figure out what that means for draft picks. Is it going to just mean that, Aaron really has, does that mean that Aaron really only has a fourth round draft pick and Nathan could still have a, first round draft pick? He could do that, because if he lets him go, here's the thing. If he says, well, I'm not keeping Kamara because I want a first round, well, you're releasing him back for somebody else to snatch him up. So there would be some things with it that I'll just say that for the first year that we would implement this and do it. I think kind of like the playoff format that we're trying this year, it's really just a trial thing. So if we vote for this isn't like, oh, we're going to do it. It would just be like, hey, do we want to try it out next year and do a trial run? Because we might do it and it might be too much of a headache for us commissioners to even try to do it. And then you guys are like, oh man, this is kind of frustrating, or I thought I had this. And I honestly haven't, the way our league is set up, I haven't done a deep dive on exactly this is what this would mean. I just know the general premise of, this type of keeper league, which like I said, a lot of leagues do this, which it makes sense. It's also a way that, other players, star players, superstars get put back into the pool. So like, if you're like, man, I've never had a chance to get, Christian McCaffrey, well, if somebody just decides, man, I got some great players, I don't have to give up the draft capital, I'll just let them go. I mean, that's kind of the other thought of why you do it, because then other players that you wouldn't maybe have a chance to get, you get. And the thing is, if you were to keep a player with a first round pick and you don't have a first round pick, well, there might be some players available that you didn't think were going to be there because somebody released them. So it's kind of one of those, you're like, oh, what do I do? I mean, that's the thought, but the draft pick thing is a good point, and that is something that we would have to figure out. I mean, obviously we're in season and trading. So again, it would just have to be a trial thing if the league wanted to try it out, like we're doing the playoff thing. So that's just one of the things. Jonathan had brought that up, and I've always seen a lot of leagues do it. It could be fun. It might not be for the way our league's set up, and it might be too complicated, but that's one of the things we're going to look at maybe voting on.
Yeah. I mean, my concerns are just for the transition to it, not the after. The after is not a big deal, but if we were to implement it for next year,
Yeah.
how would that work? Just with the way we're trading draft picks and the conditions of draft picks at the end of the year now, with that makes a big difference for Aaron and Nathan and how that was structured.
Right.
So
Right.
it's that's
Yeah. Well, and it might just mean last thing. It might just mean that Aaron, like I said, Aaron gets an extra 4th rounder, but it's not, it just means that like Nathan's picks get pushed back further. And it doesn't mean that Aaron's is necessarily bad, because this kind of format, you're going to have some superstar players that would not otherwise not be in it. They're going to be in the 1st round. So Aaron could still have the opportunity to get those guys if he doesn't keep, like, let's say, Pitts, or, again, we'd have to figure out, like, okay, what happens if you have multiple picks? Well, if he has Mike Davis and Pitts, I think that kind of just counts. We'd have to figure out how would that work if you kept 2 players from 1 round. And, so again, it might be something that gets too complicated, but it could be fine. I think it's just something to throw out. We've kind of talked about it a little bit, but that's the premise of it.
Okay. I could see Aaron being a little peeved because, he basically, if you put it as a 4th round pick, he'd be like, I traded for a 4th round pick, It doesn't look as good, but at the same time,
Right.
he's going to get Eckler, Kamara, so he shouldn't complain too much. So
Right. Well, so, yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah, okay.
We'll see.
So. I get it.
Yeah.
He traded it with the mindset that it's his 4th player. So I think it's fair to put it as a 4th round pick.
It would just look. It would just look very different. Like, we'd have to think of it. The draft setup would not look like it is now. So though it might look, it would just look very different. And I don't think it would. In other words, it's not going to be to rip Aaron off or anybody who trades for draft picks. It just would look, the way everything looks would be different because of the way that it would be set up. But again, like, you're bringing up some good points. It might be just too complicated, and it might just be like, hey, let's keep it the way we are, and we like trading draft picks and 3 players, and there's nothing wrong with what we're doing. It's kind of something we've talked a little bit about over the years, and Jonathan brought it up and said, hey, what if we do this? And so it'd be one thing we'll throw out there for a vote and see what everyone wants to do. And it would just be a trial, because it may be we try it and it's a disaster, and then we just say, all right, we're not going to do this, because we've done that before. We've done something and we tried it and we're like, yeah, we didn't like it, and we went back to normal. So, we'll see. So there's some other things we can talk about later on, just about, potential voting. So,
okay.
You had anything to close off here?
Congratulations, PC, for winning this week. Everybody have fun. Enjoy yourselves. That's about it.
That's about it. All right.
Gators.
Well, go Gators. Yeah, last week was rough. Well, hey, Tunavites, I know we went longer today. We had a lot of stuff to get to, so I hope you get to watch the whole episode. It was, I don't know how to describe it, Richard, but it was a doozy. So, well, hey, best of luck to all you Tunavites out there this week. We'll be back ready to be looking forward to week 6 next week.
Sounds
See you
good.
guys.
See you guys.